Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This travel vlog is about me going from Cartagena to Medellín, back to Cartagena in a matter of 2 months, and just showing my journey. I hope you guys learn from this, and with that, like, share, comment, subscribe. Yo, guys, we made it to episode 4. This the interview with me and the bro Luke. Shout out to Norman for putting it together. Salute.
One of the saddest truths is the amount of time you're spending in there. You're forming all these relationships for it to be empty promises in the long run.
Especially when you know, I mean, that is a truth. That is a sad truth. You making empty promises, especially to somebody who already,
so
you know what he's going through because you just went through it with them. You know what it is for you to say, dog, it's a motherfucker for them to call, mail call, and you never get a single letter.
So,
you know, so you know when I'm going through that, and you telling me you're gonna send me mail. Not that even you're gonna send me money or anything, but you're gonna send me mail. And from back there when I was young, I don't know if this is off the record, but when I was young and people wrote me, I didn't realize how much sacrifice that take, dog. In the real world. But then as I got older, I realized now I know why my mom wasn't writing me. Or, you know, people who actually had jobs. Like my brother and them, when they was younger, they was still in middle school, they ain't have jobs. So they was able to write me every week or something like that. All they got to do is ask their mom for an envelope and a stamp. You know what I mean? But people who actually had jobs, like my mom who had 2 jobs, or how busy could get out here being with responsibilities. It ain't really easy to be writing people. So that's what made me appreciate the mail even more when you wrote me. But that's also what made me understand. That same thing also made me understand when you don't write me, it ain't a big deal. It ain't that you forgot about me. I know that the people that love me, right? But dog, life is serious out here, dog. You know what I mean? It could take a toll on you in some things, like writing somebody who in jail. I mean, it's really not a big deal. You know I love you, dog. Relax. You know I love you back there, but out here it's kind of tough. Now that I'm out here, I could see that.
Right. It was so impactful in my life that I had to reach out and let him know, like, you know, what I'm doing and how is it when you get out, because at the time he didn't know, like, we didn't know about cell phones, and we got in that era, like, you know, it wasn't cell phones, it was like more house phones and pay phones, you know what I mean?
What was so impactful about your guys' childhood together?
He gave me a lot of, like, pointers because he was more experienced at doing time at the time. He was in prison before me, you know what I mean? So he gave me pointers that to this day I still live by, you know what I'm saying? Like, just at a young age, you know what I mean? I was amazed that, like, all right, he's wise, you know what I'm saying? Like, basically, you know, I'm reading hood books, stories, you know what I mean, about, you know, like, hood activity, like, you know what I mean, like selling drugs, shooting. Those are the books I was reading at the time that I met him, and then he put me on to stuff like 48 Laws of Power and Art of War at a young age, you know what I mean? And he was like, yo, them hood books you reading, you're not getting, it's not feeding your mind, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're gonna read something, you wanna make sure that it's feeding your mind, you know what I'm saying? And he younger than me, and he put me on, like, so, like, I'm like the big brother, but that's like the little big brother to me, you know what I'm saying? Like, because he always was
somebody's
giving me,
young and reading Robert Greene, that's always been the
you know what I mean? So I'm talking about a young age. Like, he's not even 21. Like, you know what I mean? He's like 17. You know what I mean? Telling me this, like, and I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, the old soul. Like, I'm like, and he had a lot of people looking up to him. And, you know what I'm saying? Like, he held it down. Like, when I think of Haitian, when I think is anything Zoe, anything that word pops up, I always think about Luke, because he taught me what it was like, you know what I mean, to be a Haitian American. You know what I mean? This is before, like, the Kodak Blacks, you know what I mean, the Young Thugs and all that, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know about it. He put me on to what Haitians was. Like,
Both you guys are Haitian?
I am.
He's Haitian, I'm American.
Are your people from...
Nah, from New York, but...
How many generations do you know?
I'm not sure, no.
Are you first generation American?
Yeah.
You are?
Mm-hmm.
How old were you when... How old were your parents when they moved here?
Damn, my mom had me at 20, so she had me at 20, so my mom probably got here when she was 18, somewhere around there.
And then had you at what age?
At 20. Yo, hold on. I don't know if this on the record too, but you know what? Yo, kids, you know you never told me this part. You know, I never heard this, so it's raw. It is very raw.
It's raw. I never, because it took time for me to realize growing up, like looking back at my life and letting life, you know, take its course for me to have these things come together. Like, wait, hold on. I knew about Haitians before, like Haitians started coming out like popular. Like we just had Wyclef Jean, you know what I'm saying? Like before the Kodak Black and Young Thug, like, you know, they putting them on the map, you know what I'm saying? Like I knew what they was about already, you know what I'm saying?
What about learning about being a Haitian American? How did that impact you?
We grew up on because I seen unity. Like I seen that they knew that they was up against being Haitian Americans, where they fighting against actual Black Americans because they different.
What prison were you at?
The prison I was in was Indian River. That was the first one. Then I met Luke at Taylor CI. The groups that was in the prison were whites, African Americans, Haitian Americans, Latinos, what they call Chicos, and very few Asians. The Haitian group is where I found my place.
It's crazy, kids. Because you was surrounded by Zoes.
At all times, when I met him, he was the leader. Like not saying that this is what he chose, but like when they needed guidance, we came to him. Just like they're not just Haitian American, like everybody. You know what I mean? They was drawn to him, but he had strength. You know what I'm saying? So
where'd you get your strength from?
Just being alive, just being in life, just living. I mean, my mom, you know, that was tough love. You hear how my mom talk. You know how she talk.
Of course.
So my mom was tough love. I think the source of my strength is from her. You know, she grew up a not so ideal childhood. So her way of showing love and care, sometimes it was non-traditional to, you know, the norms of society, man. Everybody got whoopings. We probably got whoopings a little bit more, you know what I mean? Everybody get bitched out by their parents. We probably get bitched out a little bit more, you know? But I think the source of strength really came from her, man. My pops was in my life, but he never lived with us. He never lived with us, so I wasn't with him all the time. So there is times where there's huge gaps in how long we saw each other. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't live with us. He had his own life, but because I was his only boy, I could say that he used to make the sacrifice to come see me, or the sacrifice to give my mom's a little money, you know what I mean, for his only boy. So I could say that. But I grew, you know, for the most part, grew up in a single parent household with my mom. I had 7 other siblings, the third of 8 children.
Is that where you think you develop your leadership skills?
Oh, hell yeah. Definitely that had to do with the process, because us 3 oldest ones, we knew our mom better than our siblings, right? And we understood her a little bit more, so in a way we were kind of the example on how to deal with mom as a child. You know, your mom say to do it, you see how we do it ASAP. That's why we don't get beat up on, you know what I mean? Y'all getting whooped because y'all not listening, but if you follow the examples who are ahead of you, who already know mom, who know what makes her happy, you know, and just leading them to be, the best kind of children that mom like, man. You gotta listen to mom, bro.
What about your childhood?
Well, my childhood was Bronx, New York, single mother. I had 5 upper siblings. It was, it was.
Where'd you fall online in your siblings?
I was in the middle. I had 2 older brothers, and the rest was my siblings was younger. So I'm in the middle. My childhood similar to Luke's. My father was in and out. You know what I mean? Mostly out. So I was raised by my moms, and that's, basically what I seen. strength, like what Luke was saying, like, you know what I mean? Like, raising 6 kids by yourself, like, you gotta be strong, you know what I mean? So, like, her doing that and then having boys, she had mostly boys, we didn't have a father, so, like, we gonna learn what we learned in the street, you know what I mean? So, as we was getting older, she was trying to contain it by moving to Florida, getting us out of the city. But at that time, it was too late. Like, I already had the mentality that, you know, you grow up quick in New York City. So I already had the, like, direction I felt like I wanted my life to go in. Which was the streets. I didn't need to go there because I had a loving mother. You know, I had a loving family, aunts and uncles, like, that wasn't in the street. But I came from the Bronx, so it's like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, if you outside with street dudes they moms is on drugs, so they gotta be street. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't no option. Like, so they learning street shit. You know what I mean? So these are the kids I'm hanging out with. So my moms ain't on drugs. Like, my moms ain't bringing dudes in and out. You know, like, I only seen it with my own pops my whole life. You know what I mean? So that, it was a blessing to me.
Let's fast forward to when you guys met in prison, right? How many people were in your guys' group?
It's a tough one to say how many people was in the group because the group expanded, especially from Taylor Correctional to Lake City Correctional. The group expanded. The influence grew at that time. And the real reason the influence grew is because of that war. Keep it real. The war is really what revealed who was who can you trust, who's gonna be there when the going get tough. And even though a couple people fell off in that trial by fire, the people that were left had a lot of influence. Myself, you, Tizo, J-Rock, you know what I mean? These dudes who withstood the fire and after all the dead weight fell off, either consciously or unconsciously, like some people just jumped off the ship. They can't take the war. They retreated on their own. Some people just got knocked off, you know, circumstantial. You do a brave enough act of violence in front of the right people, you know, it'll get you off the compound, so you're gone. So, but, you know, some people was able to withstand the war, whatever, you know, like the names I named. And in the end, you realize, especially after you win, you realize these the dudes who I could count on. Now the influence magnifies, to be honest with you. You know, the influence really magnifies because by the time I got over there, the way you was at, in G dorm or whatever, F dorm, you already had hella influence.
Exactly.
By the time I got there, you was the man. You know what I mean? By the time I was,
Where did he get his influence from?
that war.
What type of influence is he to his people?
The type of influence that he is to his people is someone that shows leadership, someone that shows bravery, that shows intelligence. These type of things you could trust him with. You know, if there was an issue with bravery or issue with how to move the right way, how to do time the right way, how to really go through it. When you lost your moms, remember I just told you this, that was a trial by fire. Imagine losing your whole support system. Imagine losing the only person that you can guarantee loves you unconditionally, and you lose them while you're in prison, in the middle of the chaos.
How did that feel?
That was the worst pain I ever felt.
How old were you at the time you lost your mother?
17 going on 18. It was the worst pain I ever felt. And meeting guys like Luke is what really got me through. Like he was saying, like things are not easy. Like it took us so many years for this moment here. But we met perfect timing. Like, because, you know what I mean, we still inspiring each other. Like, you know what I mean? Like, look, I'm in Colombia in the studio. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm still getting, like, I'm not letting them go, basically. Like, yo, I still need that. Like, what we had in there, you know what I mean, out here, because I need to learn how to move out here now.
How could you guys be captured in a way where it's not having that adverse effect of actually making it sound glorified?
Because we not sugarcoating it. Like, this is what it was. Like, you know what I mean? This is what it was. And you could choose that if you want, but we letting you know that this is way better than the experience. You know what I mean? Like, we in Colombia in the studio, like, chilling. You know what I mean? That it's way better than a day that we had going to war, getting our name up, you know, around a bunch of guys that's probably, it's sad to say, locked up right now because they didn't make it. You know what I mean? Because once you get in this, you could get a mindset of being in and out, in and out, in and out. One of our main dudes passed away. You know what I mean? R.I.P. J-Bo.
RPG.
You know what I mean? And he was one of the main players. Like, just to touch a little on him, because he was very influential too.
Super.
To my life. You know what I mean? To how I move. I learned a lot from him too. You know?
Another Zoe, another Haitian.
They both took Haitian serious, but it was something about J-Bo that he was aggressive with it. He was cool with it. Like, you knew, like, yo, you know what I
Jay
mean?
was way more overt than me.
Yeah.
Jay was way more overt in everything.
I can imagine that. Because you overt.
Nah.
Yeah, but you remember I told you before that I always been shy, always been, you know what I mean, more reserved.
He has been. He has been. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you ain't part of what we got going on, you ain't gonna really know too much about him. He ain't talking to you. You know what I mean? Like, he's not gonna even say not one word to you. You know what I mean?
Now, for anybody who isn't Haitian, what is Zoe?
In the shortest terms, Zoe is a Haitian, but also within the culture, we understand that Zoe, the word Zoe in the Haitian culture, it means bones. And bones, what is the body without the bones? The bones is what forms the structure, the base of the strength of a body. You know, so we understand that. We understand that Zoe in Creole means bones. But on the outside looking in, you really can't make a difference between a Zoe and a Haitian. They're both the same thing, you know. Everyone on the outside looking in, it's interchangeable words. But within the culture, we understand that Zoe has a deeper, a wider meaning. It's just the structure of the people, you know. We understand that we were oppressed people, especially when we were kids, you know, with the wars and everything. So the toughest of us were considered Zoes, the ones that you could lean on.
Influencing the youth, that is not worth it. What do you think about that?
On the record?
On the record.
No, I absolutely think I do think that the story should be told in a way where it's not so seductive, because there's really nothing cool about being locked up, bro. There's really nothing cool about it. I mean, there's a lifestyle that leads to it, or that you could follow this lifestyle and say more than likely this is going to lead this way, and that lifestyle is full with a lot of experiences, a lot of fun experiences, but there's so many more other fun experiences outside of that could teach you leadership, that could teach you brotherhood, that can teach you strength. There's so many other experiences outside of this experience that leads to prison. Because that experience that leads to prison, the risks that you take in that experience right there, they are way more detrimental than the risk you take outside of that, getting those same exact characteristics. You know, yeah, you go to war on the streets. You go to war on the streets, and you go to war with your man to your side, and both of y'all make it out. He had your back, you had his back, and in that you learn brotherhood, right? Whereas you could go through something outside of going to war with your brother. You know, you and your mans could be in school together, and both of you looking to pass this test because that's how you're gonna get to this next level. Mm-hmm. And he's staying up with you late nights studying, or you taking time out of your day to study with him. You know, so both of you could attain this mutual goal. And in that same experience with less detrimental risks, you gain the knowledge of brotherhood, you know. So it's and same thing with leadership. There's examples on both sides, but you don't really have to live the life that we specifically lived to gain the benefits that we now appreciate so much of each other. You know, you don't really have to live that certain life. There's other experiences that you can enjoy that sometimes as a kid you just don't know about. I mean, you know, no one told me about traveling when I was a youngin', you know. Nobody told me about kicking it with people outside of your societal norms, you know what I mean? Kicking it with people outside of your hood, your circle, whatever like that, you know, because you don't really think about that. And then if nobody's there to actually tell you and to help steer you in that direction, or at least open up that part of your mind, that part of your curiosity, then you really won't have it. But hopefully this could get to people. They could see the bond that me and Kiss share, and they could see and they could hear the reasons behind it, but they could also know, yo, I could share that same love with somebody else, and without going through what those two dudes went through together. So I like that idea right there. I would like it to, if it affect the kids in any way, know that you don't have to live the life that we lived to gain, you know, the bond that we have at this point in our life, or the appreciation that we have for one another at this part of our life. You know, you don't have to live the life we live. You could go through that with your homie playing football.
So to piggyback off what he was saying, like about stepping outside your norm, like what I learned from this guy was he was able to like talk to anybody, like any race, like, you know, which me being from New York City in the Bronx, you just got Spanish and black, you know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't really know, like, we didn't really communicate with white people like that, you know what I mean? But Florida's different. Like I said, prison, there's a lot of white boys there. I seen him interacting and was able to interact with all races, like, you know, even like the Spanish, he knew Spanish, you know what I mean? So he could talk to the Spanish, like, so he showed me how to, like he says, like, step outside of the norm. Like, we used to being in the hood and, you know, just staying in our own little circle. But seeing that, you know, it allowed me to step out my, you know, my comfort zone and network and, like he said, meet people we wouldn't normally want, like, wouldn't be considered cool in the hood, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because they not doing, like, crime that we doing, you know what I mean? So they not cool.
My bad, dog. It's just I'm looking at you, Noah, and I'm thinking to myself, yo, what a fucking blessing, dog.
Oh yeah,
real spill, dog. And it just so happened, Noah, you just so happen to be a cool ass dude too, dog.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You ever met dudes where you like?
So you're a fan of Robert Greene. What other kind of books have you read?
I mean, dog, whatever.
Give me some of your favorites.
The last one I just read, the one I just told you about on Audible, The Way of the Superior Man.
Yeah. I read like half of it.
Yeah, man. Once I learned about Audible, I probably read the book 50 times.
Right.
Because I used to wake up, instead of playing YouTube or music or anything, when I wake up or brushing my teeth, the Audible is going.
But in the earlier days, you were reading.
Yeah, I was reading the
48 Laws of Power.
The Robert Greenes, all the self-help books, the Napoleon Hills, you know what I mean?
Which ones? Think and Grow Rich?
Think and Grow Rich. Who wrote the Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Robert Kiyosaki?
Robert Kiyosaki, you know what I mean? In those days right there, the self-help books. But I was big on the Robert Greene. When 48 Laws of Power and Art of Seduction dropped.
Art of Seduction, yo, yeah, that was the shit.
Even when I had to give up one of the books, I gave up the 48 Laws of Power instead of the Art of Seduction.
Yeah. Did you read any of the books?
I've read the books, but see, he is the book. So even if I didn't read it, it's like, that's how I learned. Like, he did his research, I follow him. You know what I mean? Like,
you were able to skip a step and get the mentorship.
It's more organic to me. Like, he's reading it, but I want to see the actions. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I'm going to learn. You know what I mean? Like, so that's how I learn. You know what I mean?
Hands-on.
Yeah, hands-on. You know what I mean? But I read now the author Solomon, King Solomon. You know what I mean? His was, you know, author King David. You know, reading that.
What got you into spirituality?
I grew up like that. My mom, my dad, you know, they very spiritual, very. But it was more like religious, like, you know what I mean, traditional religious, just going to church every Sunday. But I found my own walk, you know what I mean, with my creator. Like, so it's not traditional. It's just more like it's just a one-on-one personal relationship. Like, you know
Did
what I
you
mean?
always have a personal relationship?
Always. That's how I met him. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm spiritual like that. So I'm like, I'm by myself. I don't got family. I know God gonna put somebody in my life that's gonna, you know, like, you know, send me an angel. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, I know I'm always good. You know
Were you
what I mean?
spiritual as a kid?
Yeah, very. That's how I was raised. Like, pray. You know what I mean? Like, just have faith. Like, something to happen. Like, and I still live like that. Like, you know, just having faith. Like, yo, I know I'm gonna meet bro. Like, it's gonna be like we gonna both be good. You know what I'm saying? Like, good spirits. Like, and it happened. Like, trying to stay positive and you know, just read up on honorable men so I could, like, you know, fall in that same type of category. You know, I'm like how they moving, like, you know, the do's and don'ts. You know, they live their life. They tell you, you know, what you shouldn't do. You know what I mean? A lot of people, you know, we put ourselves in situations that we don't have to be in, that we just, like, listen to the people that was here before us and, like, what they, you know, like, what made them fall.
That's how I'm hoping we affect the youth. They say a wise man learns from his mistakes, but an even wiser man learns from the next man's mistakes. So it's almost like I don't have to touch the stove top to know that, you know, it's hot and it burns. I saw him touch the stove top. And that's how I learned that, you know, that shit was hot and it burned. So, you know, that I'm hoping if anything, kill him.
That's real right there.
That's a service to the world, you know what I mean?
Right there,
Keep it real, fellas, outside of everything.
The books that you read, right, about kings and the greats, how have they impact you to kind of have a better perception of how you want to be great in the world or great to the people around you?
How they impact me because, like growing up, you hear, like, these great names, but when you actually read in on how their life was, they they had to go through it to be great. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't easy. Like, you know what I mean? And when I go through what I'm going through, I'm like, yo, they had it worse than me. You know what I'm saying? Like, but being that they kept the faith, they was lifted up high. Like, when you look at the story of Joseph, his brother sold him into slavery. You know what I mean? Because they was jealous of his gift of interpreting dreams. You know what I mean? But, you know what I mean? While he was in slavery, the Most High was still with him and rose him to second in command. You know what I mean? Because of his gift, he was able to figure out the Pharaoh's dream. So the Pharaoh blessed him, gave him gifts, gave him chains. You know what I mean? He was second in command. And he was able to bless his brothers while he got that position. His brother, the Phantom, came. They didn't recognize him. He recognized them. But he still blessed them. You know what I mean? And hearing stories like that, I'm like, yo, could I have did that? You know what I mean? My brothers did me dirty, and he still, like, just was like, yo, you know what? I'm still gonna bless y'all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so that's how I want to be. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta learn how to be like that, and it takes time. It takes, you know, reading up on it and testing. You know what I mean? Letting the Most High test you. Like, you know what I mean? So, you know, that's how it impacts me, how I live today. You know what I mean? Reading stories like that and being like, yo, wow, that takes a lot of just, like, forgiveness, real forgiveness. That's what forgiveness is. Like, knowing these dudes sold you into slavery and you still, like, allowed them in, you know, to be a part of your blessing. Like, you know what I mean? So, you know, you don't really see that much. You know?
How are you showing up great for people now in your life?
Well, even though it was unexpectedly, I told them I was coming. It's like, you don't have to come. I know what you're doing. Just continue to do you. I'll pull up on you. So, you know, I did that with many people in my life, and you know, sometimes it's a letdown. But, you know, like, a lot of people don't pull up on me how I know I'll pull up on them. So I just fell back a little on doing stuff like that because I know people got, you know, their own life. But then I can love hard. So it was like, that's how I show it. You know what I mean? Like, bro, in Colombia, I found you. Like, I'm here, Nick. That's how real love is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's just how I move. You know what I mean? So whoever I like have love for, I go the extra mile. You know what I mean? And because that's God like. You know what I mean? That's how God love. You know what I mean? He got ways to like show you like it's real. You know what I mean? And he keeps showing me. You know what I mean? Like met you. You know what I mean? Out of you know what I mean? It's just like unexplainable things.